I'm on a quest to find music and art. Supporting local talent is the place I start. Yeah, this is our culture, the place to be. Games, books, arts, and crafts and jewelry. This the guardians of the geekery. 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 And now for today's episode of Guardians of the Geekery with your hosts, Matt, Carol, and Joey.
All right, Guardians of the Geekery special Geekery Market edition. Of course, Geekery Market coming at you Saturday, November 9th, 2024. Yes, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Rain or shine, over 30,000 square feet of what? Of geeky goodness at the Cabrera Arena and Event Center. Cost absolutely free. We do want you to bring in a canned good or non-perishable food item or a $2 donation suggested for Second Harvest Food Bank. It's our charity again, and they just do a great job helping feed folks in the area. So we're looking forward to that. But hey, the fantasy author duo, better than the dynamic duo, I think, are coming back with us. We're very, very excited. And I know Joey will be especially delighted. I was on your website and I saw you have a link proud on your homepage for pre-order. So that makes it very happy Joey Geekery.
Makes my life a little easier, right? I can point people to the front page right away. So so welcome back, Jacy and Nicole. How have you been? It's been a year. Things going good? Everything good?
We've been busy.
Have you been busy writing?
A little bit of both, a little bit of everything.
So tell us about it. For those, so that last year was your first year at the Geekery Market, and you guys did well. I know at the end of the night, your table was practically empty, which was a nice thing. So tell us a little bit about who you are and the series you write, and then tell us a little bit about what you're working on for this year.
Jacy, you want to start with who we are, and I'll do the future stuff?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Jacy Sellers, and I am with my co-author, Nicole D'Arcangelo, and we actually are friends from college, and we have come together to write this fantasy series that we feel so passionate about. And we just have been working on this for a few years now, and we just continue to add to this series that really started a little bit of an idea that I had a while back. And I just love the idea of a portal fantasy. I've always thought how cool would it be to like go through a door and just go into a whole new world. And, then it kind of got transformed into like, what if you happen to be from that world? Right. So, and then all of a sudden you have powers. What? All these things happening. And so it just kind of like continued to be a little bit more creative. And I think, when Nicole and I really got together to kind of draft everything out, we started to realize there's a lot of world building happening behind the scenes with this. And there's a lot of connections between how we can do science and magic. And also, how cool would it be to do a series where each book is a different character? And so that's just where we've taken this. And we really loved being at the market last year. Like, it was just phenomenal being able to share where we came from with these stories, where they're going, and just getting people excited of all ages. I feel like we really hit, we got some kids involved, we got some adults involved, and we had people getting the first book and then all three books, and it's just amazing. And then Nicole has done a really great job in addition to continue, looking at how we can add to this layer of reading and create some ambiance and create some extra, oomph, because like I said, we're being creative with this, and we're creating like sense, and we're creating settings, and we're creating, this fantasy world, but we want people to feel immersed in it. So, but we've been busy. Life has been busy for sure. And yeah, we continue to write as we can. We both have full-time jobs. So it's always like one of those things that we're trying to like, when can we fit this in? And, this I think is always a good inspiration, coming together and chatting.
So is this like a true collaborative effort, or do you like does somebody write one chapter and then a person writes another chapter, or is it just like
I'll let Nicole answer the process because
yeah.
she just tells me things and I'm like, oh yeah.
So as Jacy mentioned, this was like her brainchild to start with, and then I just came on and kind of created more of the, like she said, the world building and all that kind of stuff, and then it just kind of took a life of its own. But it is pretty true collaborative. We basically, the way we work is we use the Google Drive and we divide our chapters up, and then if you have an idea for one, then hey, I'm going to hop into this chapter, and then we just let each other know so we're not working the same chapter at the same time, and then kind of go from there. So we have 3 books out, and book 4 is in the works. Book 4 has been in the works for a while because it's been a little more challenging. We decided to bite off a lot. As Jacy mentioned, we do each book in the voice of a different character, and for whatever reason, we wanted to do 4 characters in this book, so we are kind of dividing it up that way. So to make it easier, Jacy took one character and kind of went with that, and I started the first chapter for the other 3 characters to kind of give it a basis, and then we're just kind of putting in ideas as they come. So because that one is more in-depth, it's taking longer, but it's still like it has good legs right now and some good bones. But then every time we get together for events like this, like we loved your event last year, and when we have other events, we were at something last fall, and there was a woman sitting next to us who was just selling novellas. That was what she had. And Jacy looks at me and goes, I really like to do a novella. Every time she has an idea, I end up with more work to do.
Now, how did it happen that you have 3 characters and I just have 1? I mean,
yeah, I don't know how that happened. I don't know. So the novella was a good idea, and then we heard someone use the phrase interconnected standalone, and we were like, you know what, that's a good idea. It gives us a little break to put something else out there instead of book number 4, since that's taking so long. So we are doing an interconnected standalone from one of the characters from the book, and we're basically telling kind of like her pre-story and how our turmoil that is happening throughout the series, how it kind of started. And that's what we're using in her story. So you could read it all by itself. It's only a novella. I think I'm pretty much halfway done with it right now. So we'll see. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I get it done in time for you guys. But yes, it's kind of, it's moving and grooving. But where we're going in the future. So I surprised Jacy last year. She hinted to it with the whole immersion thing. I had this brilliant idea, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to try this. I'm not going to tell her. I'm just going to bring it with me, and we'll see how it goes. So as we've created food and we've created all kinds of things in the book, I wanted to give people a 3D experience when they're reading. And so I took scents that we described in the book, and I created them into lovely little candles, so people can light the candle and immerse themselves into the world as they're reading. So I've been busy making a few more of those, and we will have them when we are there in the fall.
That's awesome. I actually like the idea of having a candle that you light when you're reading the book. That's actually a really awesome idea.
Yeah.
We provide the wine, but we can't do that.
Yeah.
There's some licenses involved that sometimes get a little tricky with the wine. So, although if you go over to Gammy's Jams, she has wine infused jelly, so they could spread that on toast, and then smell the candle, and then you can go to Rooted Dandelion and get some tea. And now you really have created that whole experience of why you need to keep coming back to the Geekery Market.
That's
but that's
right.
my own personal vendetta. So.
Packages.
Hey, Joey and Carol, I think you guys need to do popcorn for your Little House podcast.
Oh, I know. I know.
2 woke bonnets popcorn.
Yeah, so we started, Jacy and Nicole, we started another podcast called 2 Woke Bonnets, and we're actually going back and watching episodes of Little House on the Prairie, and we created a bingo card of things that seem to happen in a lot of the episodes, like Pa takes his shirt off, Mom says, "Oh, Charles," Harriet Olsen commits a crime against the community, somebody runs to the outhouse, and different things. And one of the things that Matt has been joking about is popcorn in bed. But ever since we talked about that on the bingo card, he's seen it 3 times
Three
because,
times on the
even though it's
episode.
my homework, he wanders into the room and sits down and watches the episode with us. And then, last night we were watching Svengoolie like we do on a Saturday night, and we had popcorn in bed, and he's like, "No, I feel like Ma and Pa." So, but it's that whole immersion experience you're talking about. So, but yeah, popcorn in bed is a good thing. So, and candles, that give you those smells. My first husband, I was married before, I used to be obsessed with Yankee candles, and they would have the ones, I know. They would have the ones for our audio podcast. Matt looks aghast and in shock, but he's known this for years, trust me. So I would light a candle, and my first husband would come in and goes, "Oh my God, what are you baking? It smells awesome." And I'm like, "It's a candle." And he's like, "Really? There's nothing to eat. It's just a smell." And the girl I used to buy the candles from used to talk about how she wanted one that was like roast beef, and then like, apple cider and stuff, like a whole little meal that you could
That would
like,
just make me hungry. That would just make me like, okay, now I need to go cook dinner.
But it's like, then you could light those at Thanksgiving and then just serve them like pot pie and be done with it. 'Cause it smells like it, but it's not it. So you do that in a portal where they walk through and they, it's kind of that thing where it's like, think about what it's the Willy Wonka effect, right? Think about what you want it to taste like. So so anyway,
So have you thought, since you've like broached into scents, have you thought about doing a cookbook of like food?
We have definitely thought of that. Anyone who's read any of our opening, I'm not giving anything away, but our first chapter of our first book, it talks about her eating peanut butter and pickles. And we did, for our launch party for that book, we were like, what if they tried, because they're not from this realm, so what if they tried other peanut butter combinations? And so we had our guests coming to the book launch try different combinations of peanut butter mixed with things, and then we worked those into book 2. So we thought, random things we've come up with, I'm like, we should really do a cookbook at some point.
Yeah, you lost Matt at peanut butter. He does not like peanut butter. So he would have been like, "I'll do pickles and something else, but forget the peanut butter." So you're possibly working on a novella for this year. You're bringing more candles this year. You're bringing the book series this year. Anything else that you're bringing with you? And I'm going to pose it this way. As somebody who did the market for the first time last year, I always try to find tips from one event seller to another event seller. What was something you wish you had or were really glad you had at the market that you would recommend that other people make sure they bring when they're setting up a table in an event like ours?
So this was another, because we don't live in the same area, so we have to travel, and I needed a new suitcase. So I went ahead and bought a suitcase that has the USB thing and a battery pack to go with it. And so when we were there, I just plugged our little light display into my suitcase, and we just used that. So that was my workaround. I know a lot of people use carts and stuff, but I just bought a roller bag with a USB so I could light up the table. And that was super
so smart. That is so smart. And we've learned to do that too. Somebody had one of those like emergency power outage chargers. Like, and we bought one and we used it because a couple times we've lost power here. But we've brought that to events too, because that way, even if you're not near an outlet, you're not having to run a cord through the neighbor's legs and around their table and all that stuff. And it will last, the 6 or 8 hours that you need it to. So, but that is so smart, the USB, because then it's just right there, right? It's just there.
It's right there. The suitcase works as like a little table while it's in between you and you carry your stuff in it. So it kind of worked out all together.
Oh, that's awesome.
If I see other people doing it, I'll know that they got it from me.
But that's
That's
good.
right.
It'll be like, it's shake and bake and I help. So
Exactly.
Jacy, anything from you that you realized afterwards or you thought of during it?
Um, I know we were really busy, so that was good. I do wish I had more time to walk around and see the others, honestly, because there was so much good stuff there. But like, I feel like we kind of switched. We didn't want to not be together because we kind of play off each other at these events too. But also, like, we did have a lot of folks that came by and they would talk with us, and they would come back. And I thought that was really cool. And we did have, I think, I felt really good. We had bookmarks that had our QR code on it directly to
Mhm.
our Amazon page, because some people still want to think about things. And honestly,
Yeah.
afterwards, when we went to check our reports and stuff, we did have some sales afterwards. And I remember we spoke to a couple of folks that were talking about book clubs, like specifically. And so all of a sudden there was like 10 books that were bought, and we're like, whoa,
Yeah.
great. So I guess they're buying it for their book club. I don't know. I mean, that's awesome. But I think, having like a little takeaway to remember something by too, because it is super busy. It can be like, I mean, I'm thinking about it in the terms of like, you're coming to the market to like think about like maybe the holidays or something too, or maybe like a future gift for somebody, or just you just want to spoil yourself. It's cool. I love to do that too. So I think there's just so much great stuff there, and having a little takeaway that, you can directly connect to was helpful.
Absolutely. And if I could get on my soapbox for a minute, the thing that I loved about your booth and other booths, and I try to highlight it whenever I think about it, is you had your name in multiple places and multiple ways that people could connect with you after. You had your QR code on your bookmark. I think you had one like in a frame too. You had it in the front, you had it in the back. And I always talk about this, that you need to have at least 3 points where your name is, because if you have it on the front of your table and somebody's standing in front of your table, people walking by are gonna like look around that person to see what it says. And if you have it up higher and somebody's in front of that, that's a problem too. But having it in 3 places, so no matter what somebody's view is, they can see your name. It's super helpful. And again, that takeaway is so helpful. And um as we have gone to events to promote this event, it's one of the most annoying things to me if I see something that, if I see a table that I think might be a good fit for the market, but they're in the middle of a sale. So I'm not going to go interrupt them because I'm just talking to them about my market. I'm not trying to buy something from them, and I would never want to interfere with a sale. But if I can't see your name to write it down and figure out who you are and contact you later, you may be out of an opportunity. So if there was ever anything I could shout from the rooftops, is listen to Jacy, have a takeaway, have some way that they can get a hold of you afterwards, because it's so critical. And it does, it results in sales afterwards.
Good.
And you need to give it's pre-order and post-order, two most important aspects of
Yep.
any pre-order, because if somebody pre-orders from you, they're not going to get up in the morning, decide they're feeling neurospicy and not go, because they've already paid for the item. So they're going to come. And when they come, they'll probably buy an additional thing from your table too. And post orders, because no matter how much money you bring to a market, there's always going to be way more awesome than you can afford. And so then you can budget it in afterwards. So, it's just so critical. So you hit the nail right on the head. Um, it's really
I know for book lovers like myself or book hoarders, um, it can be overwhelming at first going to the market because there's so many books to buy. And so it's always nice, if you can't budget for every booth, to grab something and budget out, later on down the road for a couple of books.
And we did
Um,
learn a lesson last year, right? We had Author's Alley, which became Exhaustion Alley, because people were
yeah.
getting so many different story types as they walked down the aisle that I think there was just overload. So now we're going to have you guys in between the others so people can hear about stories and then walk along and hear about other things and walk along and stuff. So that way it's not book after book after book after book, because people's pockets were just like empty and their hands were full after going down that aisle. And we want to make sure that everybody has, an equal opportunity. So I think that's going to be great. But
I'm excited.
I was going to say, we're excited. We had so much fun last year. Another thing we're going to do, because we have the candles, we're actually going to create like a pre-done gift bag, since it is close to the holidays. So we're going to match a candle with the book, and we're just going to have it like pre-done. So if people want to buy like a gift set, we'll have a book paired with a candle that goes with it.
yeah,
So people don't have to get.
That's a very good
with
idea.
the bookmark for the QR code, so they can buy the
Right.
sequel
They
and
can
the
go buy the
trequel and
sequel.
the quadruple and whatever
and
it is.
novella and the book 4 and all the
I will say, like, Carol loaned me a book from somebody that was at one of the markets that we were at, and I read that one book, and then I went and bought all 10. So,
Yeah.
Once you get the first one, you're like, okay, now I know this is a good author, and I'm gonna read them all. So yes, so it's a good thing. Matt, you've just got that smile on your face, like you're thinking.
Oh, it's just great to have you folks back, and I just love to see, like, in a year's time, hey, you're still at it, because a lot of people, it's tough. It's like any small business. Not everybody makes it. Life gets in the way, that type of thing. So it just makes me really happy that you're both working together, and you've got that unique approach, which I'm kind of a process junkie too, like Carol. So that always fascinates me, how the cookies are made, if you will, that type of thing. But no, I'm just really excited for you and the continued growth. And I think that's really smart to have kind of a spotlight, interconnected novella as you work on a bigger piece. And I come from the comic book world, and a lot of times take that similar approach where they just kind of like spotlight a character in between publication of a next issue, just to keep the interest going and get a little more depth. And I totally dig world building too, so that always excites me. So, but yeah, it just makes me happy to see when people return and still at it and still having fun doing it. And as you said, it's a lot of work when you're doing a full-time gig and then doing your passion as well. So it's very difficult, I know. So I just really salute you. So
How do you do
Well,
that?
events
Do you
like
like
this-
force yourself to write every day, or do you?
No.
'Cause
I think we really kind of inspire each other, because like there'll be times, because we do live in different places and like life gets in the way, like we don't get a chance to connect, and I'll get like a little text from Nicole, or I'll get a voicemail, and she's like, I miss you, what's going on, how are you? And it'll be because we don't get a chance to talk every day, and so when we do connect, we'll talk on the phone for a long time. Plan for all the things, and when we get together in person, it's even more amplified. And I think that always moving forward, we're going to just continue to pour into these characters and work together with all of the different storylines and things like that to keep this going. So
JC's husband knows that she's unavailable when I come into town. It's like we just go off and do our own thing. She's no longer available at that point. But we love events like this because we have an excuse to get together. Like she said, we don't live in the same area, so it's like we get to finally see each other.
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's great. For our audio listeners, the cat has invaded once again. So
Did he approve?
she's mad that I'm not paying attention to her, and
she's
gotta
bumping
make
heads
sure
with
this
you.
now.
It's so cute. She's like, I love
it's
you.
just
Aw.
she's
her
like, you
thing.
can't get mad at me for interrupting you, because look how cute I am. So
She's freaking violent with it, though.
so
My nose, Persephone.
We're like, hi, I'm here too. What's my question?
he stares so
Have a
intently in
question?
the screen. Oh my god. Well, thank
No,
you
we
guys
don't.
for coming. I can't believe we're like less than 80 days away. It just blows my mind. So much to do, but also so much excitement. Can't wait to see you guys again, and you ladies again. But I'm from New England. Everybody's a guy. It's my
I'm from New England
binary
too. It's fine.
terminology.
I get it.
You guys. So but yeah, so can't wait to have you again. if they want to go and do the pre-order, which they should, because we've told you on this podcast, Geekery Math is you buy it now, it's free when you get to the market because you've already paid for it. So, so what site should they go to go and pre-order their awesomeness from you?
They can go to espereva.inc, and you'll have links in the
Yes.
show notes and stuff.
Yes, we'll
Okay.
Yeah. So
But it's in the show
I was like, I can
espereva.inc.
spell it.
Yes, but if you go to the Geekery Market Artisan page, look for Fantasy Author Duo. So Fantasy Author Duo, and but you can, and it will link right to this video as well as to their website, Espereva Inc. And remember, .inc instead of .com. So.
Yeah. And it'll be right at the top. It'll say about
And the
Geekery Market pre-order.
and the
Yeah,
ink
right
is
there.
INK.
Oh yes, INK.
writing ink.
Oh
Ink,
yes,
like
yes,
writing
Writing Ink, not incorporated.
No,
Very good
We
point.
totally
Very
nerded
good
out
point.
when we did this.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much again
thank
for
you so
coming
much.
on. It was so good to see you, and we'll see you in just a few months.
Yes.
And make sure to check them out online, and make sure to listen to them. They'll be rebroadcast on Outworld Fleet Radio the following week, so you can check that out too. 24/7 geeky streaming, awesome. So when you're writing, if you need some background music, Outworld Fleet Radio, who rebroadcast us, is a great way. You can listen to those old time radio dramas and all that kind of stuff there too. So then you could do a time portal thing, so it's not just a different world but a different time.
That's right.
Diane.
Hey, I don't know.
Just throwing it
Don't
out
give
there.
her
They come back
ideas.
through
When
the
you give her
portal.
ideas, she gives me more work.
You come back through, and all of a sudden it's 1920s, and now you've got to figure out how to get which book you have to go in and out of, like an elevator, to get to the right floor wherever your car is parked. So
Best time.
all right, and then Nicole's going to come at me and said, now she has 10 more ideas. Why did you do that? Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
That was an episode of Guardians of the Geekery. Thank you for listening. Check us out at guardiansofthegeekery.com and stay tuned for more content.